You are now tuned in to United Football Media's Tell Me About It, the number one recap show of the United Football League. A big, prolific weekend in the United Football League. Well, it was a struggle to figure out which one of these stories should probably kick off. Should it be the potential upset that it's not really an upset that we told you about on DC Defender Show this week, me and Tay? By the way, our guy True, he'll be in. He's out on assignment. He's going to be coming at us live from on location here at some point in the show. So we'll get him in it. We're working hard here. It's Easter, all right? We're doing the best we can for you. The upset that's not really an upset, or to me, the real thing that we should be talking about to start things off. What was thought to be, the pride of the league, the number one team of the league, this Battlehawk team is all of a sudden in disarray. They took that whooping belt to ass in their own house by the DC Defenders last week, and then this week, we don't want to. It's tough to speculate, right? But that certainly looked a hell of a lot like every Achilles tear that I've ever seen in my life. What happened to Manny Wilkins on Saturday sucks. Super upset for him. We've been saying this whole time. He looked like the dead-on MVP candidate to us. Looked like a guy who should be in the NFL to us. It really hurts to see him go down on a freak accident like that. Max Duggan then comes in, and it went very, very poorly. A couple of turnovers, including the game-sealing pick six. On the other side, Arlington, despite the victory, didn't really have any huge numbers put out by anybody on their offense. Perez was efficient, 68% completion percentage. Sal Cannella with 3 catches, doing his thing. Of course, on the defensive side, you got your guy Donald Payne. Every single week we say it, 10 tackles. What else is new? Man, that guy is a stalwart. Spring Football Hall of Fame. Arlington comes up with the win. Things did not look good. Now, there were some drops. There were some protection busts. So it's not on Max Duggan, but it did not look good with him in the game. Now, all of a sudden, the Battlehawks are 2-2. Again, very, you hesitate to use the word tragic, but, man, it's really a downer. See what happened. Such a brilliant season with Manny Wilkins. Looks like he might be coming back. So it's Max Duggan the way forward, and they're sitting at 2-2. All in all, it's a Renegades victory over the Battlehawks, 30-15. Renegades improved to 3-1 on the season. Battlehawks, like I said, now shaky 2-2 in a tough XFL conference, reeling with the backup quarterback now. There could be improvement next week. Max Duggan getting in there. It's tough to jump in cold. And like I said, they were disgruntled. There were some drops. There were some protection busts. I'm not saying doomsday. I'm not saying it's over. Max Duggan's horrible. It's done. But it did not look good this week. What's your thoughts on the Battlehawks going forward there, Tay?
Yeah, the Battlehawks definitely need to come back to earth, watch some more film because they need it. They started off 2-0, lost 2 straight. They didn't expect to lose their starting quarterback, but I mean, that's just sometimes this is how things goes. It really just got outplayed. Renegades played probably their best game to me on offense and defense. They were forcing turnovers, pick six, and Luis Perez, he played an excellent game. Run game wasn't really there for the Renegades, but it didn't really matter. They scored a whole bunch in the first and a whole bunch in the fourth. Did nothing in the in-between quarters, but I mean, it really didn't matter. Renegades just they played their best game of the season, and they looked a lot better than the Battlehawks when they played.
The second leading story here, and again, you listen to us on DCTS on Friday. This ain't a shock to nobody sitting on this thing here right now. That we predicted that this upset, quote unquote upset, could happen. The Brahmas pulling off a tight win over the DC Defenders. DC coming out flat, letting them jump out to a big lead, and then they had 13 penalties for 121 yards. all of those things is not winning football. And, ironically, if you listen to DCDS, if you listen to us on this show, Tiamu had one of his better games, numbers-wise, of the season. There was a couple of, oh my God, Tiamu, what the hell are you doing moments in this game, as there always are. But numbers-wise, it was one of his better games. It is ironic that he finally got above 50% completion, and that's the one we lose. But the Brahmas defense played a lot more discipline this week. They refused to allow the running game to get on track to have any impact. And, the game had to be won on Tiamu's arm, and it's a loss. And a big part of that, again, is the penalties. 13 penalties for 121 yards. I don't know if anybody has topped that in the existence of this league. That is an insane amount of penalties. You're going to have me sounding like I do on the DAR Sports Media NFL show when I talk about the 49ers. I always talk about the checklist that they go through. This is how they lose games. And on that checklist, as always, they're going to have 10 penalties. And the DC Defenders fit right in with that right here. 13 penalties, 121 yards. Brahmas played their best game this season. Kellen Mond's getting better and better every week. I said on DCDS, the key to this is to not let them have any hope right off the bat. They've got this new head coach that had to step in that the players seem to relate to well. They looked good last week, looked like a team that was improving last week. You cannot let any of that positive energy carry over because they still have the talent. They still have the players. They still have the names, and they will bite you. And they are fighting for their survival. They're fighting for their season this week. 0-4, you could pretty much call it quits. So they're going to give you everything they got, and they did. And the Defenders let them get out to a big lead early and committed a ton of penalties. And the Brahmas did their job. Told you. This is exactly the way we said it might go. So to us, not a huge upset, but the Brahmas come away with the win, 24-18. Defenders with a chance to score late, could not cash in from first and goal. Maybe some of that MVP talk will quiet down there. You can't cash in the game on the line with the first and goal. I don't know. Tay, obviously, we'll expand on all of this on DC Defender show on Friday, but go ahead real quick. 24-18. Brahmas get their first win of the season. Defenders get their first loss of the season.
Yeah, the Brahmas, they finally got on the board. They started off 0-3. This was a must-win situation for them, and they got it done. They just capitalized on the Defenders' penalties, and they just played like sound football. They didn't do too much. They didn't have a lot of passing yards or anything. Like Tiamu had 300 passing yards, but it just wasn't enough. The Brahmas just did exactly what they needed to do. They didn't really wow. They didn't wow me or anything, but they were the better team today. You can't always play from behind and expect to win. Like, you're gonna lose some of those games. And fortunately, the Defenders just couldn't capitalize. There were chances to win this game, but just couldn't figure it out. Just couldn't do it. So, props to the Brahmas for getting on the board because it was much needed.
Big time. Brahmas 24, Defenders 18. Friday night showcase, it went a lot better this week than it did last week. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to think about it. Remember, I'll still think about it in my quiet moments. Panthers over the Showboats. Panthers 27, Showboats 9. Bryce Perkins, man. Now that unfortunately, Manny Wilkins went down, I got Bryce Perkins as my guy for the MVP, especially after that performance on Friday night. 15 for 22, 200 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Also added 45 rushing yards, 6.5 yards per carry on the ground. Spread it all around to all of his receivers. 3 catches, 1 catch, 3 catches, 3 catches, 2 catches, 2 catches, all around the field. Did a fantastic job. And they have the man himself. It never stops with this guy. Some of these linebackers are so darn consistent in this league. We just talked about Donald Payne. Well, Frank Ginda on the Panthers, former Defensive Player of the Year in the USFL, and he's showing why. Another game, 13 tackles and a sack. Phenomenal performance on his part. And Bryce Perkins is the man. They cannot any longer do anything as far as splitting these quarterbacks up. On the other side, EJ Perry, you need to respect him, but it was a tough outing. It was a tough outing for both quarterbacks. It's only 87 yards passing total. This Panthers defense looks as legit as ever. They've got a legitimate MVP candidate at quarterback. I like this Panthers team, man. They are on the rise. 27-9 victory. What do you think, Tay?
Yeah, the Panthers are a good team in my opinion. You know, they took care of business. That's exactly what you want good teams to do. Showboats couldn't really get anything. They didn't score. You know, second half shutout. I don't know. The Showboats got a lot of work to do. I mean, they didn't have a run game at all. Still don't know if they have their quarterback. Probably not. So it's gonna be a long season for the Showboats.
The Showboats don't have their quarterback.
Nah.
They got EJ Perry.
Nah.
Are you disrespecting EJ Perry?
I mean, like it's been 2-3 weeks now. Because I feel like if he plays good,
like he should be doing more. They got the best receiver in the league by far.
They do
with Adams, and
they couldn't.
And I mean, doing nothing with him.
They couldn't even get him involved. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to try something different. Like I like EJ Perry, but I mean, it's still they got to win. They got to win something. So I mean, I don't know. It's just bad. The offense has been really bad.
It's just bad.
Yeah, they couldn't get any stops really outside the third quarter. Yeah, the Panthers are just better than the Showboats. Like, and it showed. Like this game went exactly how it's supposed to. I know the Panthers are happy, and they'll go on the next week. You know,
they're better than the Boats. I'm not totally convinced that they're not better than the Stallions. They had a lot of chances to win that game and beat themselves. So I'm interested to see a second matchup between those two teams. And most likely a third because, the rest of that division is having a hard time. Although I don't know if I can't remember if you guys agree with me, but I told you this Birmingham Houston game was going to be closer than you would assume it was going to be. Birmingham has been sleepwalking through these games. They have looked like cheeks for several weeks in a row. The Roughnecks seemed like a team that had a little bit of a spark in the second half last week. They've always had talent. They just could not get this quarterback thing right, and they cannot manage their way out of these games, manage their way out of paper bag in these games. But they have names. They have ability. They just need a little bit of dynamism at the quarterback position. And they found it in an unlikely place. Nolan Henderson was doing very well, 3 for 4 to start off the game, got cracked. We hope he's okay, but I don't know even if he is okay, if he's coming back, because Jalen McClendon comes in and he goes 22 for 30, 72% completion, 240 passing yards, rushes for a touchdown as well. Looked very good. I always liked Jalen McClendon in the XFL. I liked what he showed at times for the Las Vegas Vipers back then. I've always thought he was a player with a lot of tools that I'd be interested to see get a shot. Comes through as the emergency quarterback, ends up getting in the game and really put on a show and really pressed the Stallions. On the other hand, Stallions come up with the 23-16 victory. Matt Corral kind of seemed in the second half that he's getting it together. Like the real Matt Corral is stepping forward a little bit. It's still not what it should be, but he's almost there. 14 for 25, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He also added 50 yards rushing on the ground, mostly on scrambles, looking really good, bailing out of the pocket. Deion Kane is finally starting to come on as that primary receiver that we thought he could be. Demario Davis did a real great job as well, making a long – both of them had long catch and runs, a 50-yarder and a 36-yarder, respectively. And the Stallions defense is always a reliable unit. So I told you guys it'd be close. Told you guys to take that spread. I don't know if the Roughnecks are dead just yet because of the things that are happening on that side of the board. And I like the way that they looked, and I like the way that they it seems like everybody either beats or absolutely presses, like takes the Stallions to the very edge of doom, and the Stallions, through their infrastructure, through this awesome coaching schedule, through championship pedigree, just finds a way to win these games. We have seen how that has worked out in other leagues. I will not make any predictions now, but I will just say we have seen how that ends up working out in the end most of the time. I have my doubts about a 4-peat here for the Stallions. Hold on. Don't let me disrespect the Stallions. They already have a 3-peat. Only 3-peat champions in professional sports. Thank you very much. I have my doubts on a 4-peat here. They got taken to the brink it's been taken to the brink or beaten every single week this season. Tay, thoughts on this one? Thoughts on the Roughnecks' upward trajectory, and are the Stallions fading?
I'll start with the Roughnecks. They've gotten a good quarterback play for the past 2 weeks now. So, they've been a little bit better. Like they're
parts
not,
of the last 2 weeks.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But that's always a plus. You finally see a bright spot somewhere on your roster. You got a guy that wants to win. You can always be happy with that. They couldn't really run the ball well. That's gonna be kind of hard to win, especially beating a team like the Stallions. But they played a good game. They stuck around for the most part. It made the Stallions earn it, and the Stallions they did earn it. They played good enough to win the game. They didn't like dominate or anything, but Matt Crowd did his job, and Deion Kane he had a nice solid game. So yeah, the Stallions it feels like they're just coasting. Like I don't think they're playing their best football, which is not really a good thing, because I do think you should take the regular season serious, and you should want to dominate your opponents and stuff. It just creates good habits. It just makes you a better team overall. Kind of like last year. So I think the Stallions are still good and all that, but it's just something's not there though. Something's not there. I don't think they're taking this as serious as they were last year.
Showboats, Stallions. Well, I don't think that Stallions come up into starting this week. It's tough, man. The Showboats are not a non-talented team. They just have not been able to pull it together, and it's looking a heck of a lot like it'll be 0-5 next week for the Showboats. Any chance at all do you give them against? I mean, that is the kind of weird thing that would happen in this league. That's finally the week that the Stallions get caught with their. I'm trying to think of a euphemism I could use over here. There's lots of them I could use over on DAR, but get caught pissing on the electric fence one time too many. I don't know if it'll be this week though. Stallions probably over the Showboats. Yeah.
The Showboats got a lot of work to do, and I don't know. I couldn't see that. I think the Stallions they'll play good enough. Like it's probably going to be close, but the Stallions will play good enough, just to get the win.
Matt Corral on the way up, Deion Kane on the way up for that one. Panthers Battlehawks, our only Saturday matchup. This is first week for Max Duggan to get his first full start against the Panthers defense. That's a tall ask. Scary stuff for those guys. They looked in disarray this week. Everything that the Arlington is good at, the Panthers are better at. So I don't see things getting any better. It's going to get worse before it gets better for St. Louis, I think, this week. And so it is shaping up to be, on the XFL side, the All-Tay playoffs, because it's looking a lot like it's headed towards the Defenders and the Renegades making it on the XFL side. Little rematch of the XFL championship many years ago, but we'll see. Halfway through the season this week. Battlehawks, Panthers. What do you got, Tay?
This was a tough one for me. I really had a hard time picking this game, but I believe it's in St. Louis. So that being said,
okay.
I'm going with the Battlehawks. Yeah, it'll be really close. think the Panthers are a really good team, but I like the Battlehawks at home. You know, they'll definitely have to improve. The past 2 weeks haven't been good for them, but um, I think they can. They'll end the week 3-2. You know, they really need this one. They need it at home. You know, Duggan gets the full start. You know, so
I mean, you had faith in him coming into the season, so
I
I
did.
understand.
Yeah, I did.
One half of shaky football
Yeah.
isn't going to shake your confidence. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday is loaded up noon. Speaking of Defenders Renegades, Defenders heading down to Arlington to take on the Renegades. This is interesting. This one's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because are the Defenders going to be pissed? Are they going to tighten it up, play more disciplined? That'll be the key, right? Because they can beat anybody in the league, especially these really finesse timing offenses is certainly what Arlington has. But playing the way they did today is not going to get it done, brother. So what do we think, man? Arlington Defenders. I'm gonna go Defenders because I think that Shannon Harris is going to be pissed about what happened today. But Arlington is as talented as anybody, and we've said it plenty of times. And all of a sudden, if they win this game, they're in first place because that would put the Defenders at 3-2 and them at 4-1.
This is going to be a tough game for the Defenders. Like the Renegades have been playing good football all year. They're already better than what they were last year. Oh man, it's going to be a tough game. You know, now I don't think home field advantage will be like a factor here. You know, I would consider this like a neutral site kind of game. So I'm gonna go with the Defenders. I'm feeling the Defenders this week. I don't think they'll lose 2 in a row. I like how Tiamu played. You know, this could be the turning point for him. You know, he had 300-yard game in the loss. So I don't think that will happen too many times, this season. So yeah, I like the Defenders here.
Last game of the week, 3:00 Eastern, ESPN. Roughnecks at Brahmas. The Brahmas finally open the cow pasture up. I think that might, help them maybe get on a roll here. This one to me is almost as hard to call as any of them because I'm telling you, I really liked what I saw out of the Roughnecks the last couple of weeks and the spark that they have found. But I think already, Pardee is a better coach. They have a better system over there in San Antonio. They're opening up the dome for the first time this year. They're coming off of a win. They've looked better and better every week. Kellen Mond just had his best game. As much as I like the direction the Necks are headed in, I can't pick them here. I'm going to go Brahmas.
Yeah, same with me. No, Roughnecks showed a little something, and I do think they will again. You know, I think they'll play good, but not good enough to win. So, yeah, I'll go Brahmas here. Brahmas winning 2-0, starting to turn around their season. So, schedule went well for them after a good win versus Defenders.
We are the DAR Sports Media team. Check us out. Just put DAR Sports Media up into the YouTube search bar. After you watch the Panthers podcast, I'm sure he'll be feeling good about himself this week. FBI Tugboat. Roughnecks are on the rise. Roughneck Rundown with our man Ace. One of the best that you're going to see. Check him out now before he gets picked up by ESPN. Such a good content creator. He'll be covering what's going on with them. Brahma bullpen, I'm sure, will be fun this week, doing some good woofing down there. I hope they take a soundbite of me talking about steak burgers last week because they came in and they got that win in the toughest stadium that there is in the UFL, even though it was a bit of a sparse crowd because it is Easter Sunday. But it is what it is. They came in there, they got the job done, and everywhere that they need to look good, they are looking better. Coaching's looking better. Quarterbacks looking better, etc., etc. So that'll be a fun episode. Finally, they get to have a fun episode down there on that podunk show, as they would call it. Good for them. Check them out this week. And of course, me and Tay breaking this whole thing down on DC Defender Show on Friday. Check us out. We will still be Chirper Mood welcoming you into your Football Friday. all of the fine programs here on United Football Media. This one right here is called Tell Me About It.